You know those photography rules we've all been taught? Stick to golden hour, pick a specific style, use a tripod, keep your ISO low, and constantly chase epic locations and colorful skies. Do you ever feel like they're limiting your creativity? I used to follow them religiously, and for a while, that worked. But as I grew, I've realized that these conventional wisdoms were actually holding me back from capturing my best photos. In this two-part series, we'll explore how breaking these so-called rules can unlock our creativity and elevate our images to a whole new level. Today, in part one, we'll uncover some hidden barriers to creativity, ones that even experienced photographers have internalized without even realizing, exploring myths about light, location, and color, and look at how to unleash our true potential as landscape photographers. By the end of this series, you'll be liberated from the outdated rules, be able to experiment more freely, and create more meaningful images, even in unexpected places. Now, before we jump in, it's one thing to discuss myths, and it's another to overcome them. So I've developed a simple framework for each myth that we'll discuss today. We'll start by uncovering the partial truth, that kernel of truth that makes these myths so persistent. Then we'll dive into the full story, revealing the limitations these myths contain and the hidden creative opportunities they obscure. Finally, I'll share some actionable tips to help apply these insights to your photography. So let's get into it. The first myth is a classic, and it's one I bought into for a very long time. That idea that we need to be in some far-off or exotic location to capture stunning landscapes, well, there's a grain of truth to it. Iconic locations are iconic for a reason. They offer breathtaking scenery that's almost impossible to mess up. And if I'm being honest, living in a beautiful part of the world like the Pacific Northwest gives me a head start. It's why I moved here after all. But here's the interesting part. Living in a beautiful place can be a bit of a crutch if we're not careful. It's easy to fall into the trap of constantly chasing iconic shots, trying to replicate those picture-perfect postcards. But I realized that leaning on these iconic shots actually was holding me back from developing certain skills and developing my style. Because iconic locations offer countless obvious compositions, they can hinder our ability to find and work a scene from scratch. While recreating inspirational shots is fun and can be instructive in some ways, it can also overshadow the joy of exploration and unique composition. Just look at videos by photographers like Simon Booth and Courtney Victoria, who challenge themselves regularly in the most mundane conditions and still produce meaningful and successful images. When I first moved to the Pacific Northwest, I spent a lot of time chasing the big shots, waterfalls, mountain ranges, all the IG bangers. But over time, I noticed that the photos that were resonating most with me were increasingly not from those iconic compositions. They were found in the small moments, often in overlooked places, local parks, or even my backyard. So here are a few tips I've used to break free from this myth. Take a walk in your neighborhood. Visit a local park or explore a nearby forest. Try seeing beauty in what's already familiar. Get low, climb a hill, or try shooting through foliage. Experiment with different angles and compositions to capture a fresh perspective. Don't overlook the seemingly mundane. Look for patterns, textures, and details that tell a story. A texture, a pattern, or a simple scene you wouldn't normally notice. It's cliche, but fitting here. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And the most rewarding journeys often start right in your backyard. So, we know that amazing photos don't rely on exotic locations, but what if you're shooting locally? The time of day still matters, right? Golden hour, that magical time of day when the light is soft and warm, casting a beautiful directional glow over the landscape. It's a photographer's dream. There's no denying that golden hour can produce stunning results. The soft, diffused light is incredibly flattering and perfect for capturing those classic postcard-worthy shots. Shooting in midday light can be challenging. The shadows are deep, the colors and the sky can be washed out. Equally, overcast skies can lead to flatter, less vibrant images. It's harder to create a sense of depth without directional light. Here's where it gets interesting. Limiting ourselves to only shooting during golden hour is a little bit like just eating dessert. Sure, it's delicious, but we're missing out on a world of flavors. I've found that shooting in midday light or overcast skies actually sparked some of my most creative moments. They challenge us to find compositions, experiment with different techniques, and discover hidden beauty in unexpected places. The harsh light of the midday can create bold contrasts and interesting textures. Just recently, instead of letting my camera sit on the shelf, I decided to challenge myself to use abstract techniques like intentional camera movement, multiple exposures, and water abstracts. I captured that challenge in a video. If you haven't seen it yet, it's definitely worth a look. Similarly, the soft, diffuse light on cloudy days is perfect for honing in on small scenes or subjects that might otherwise be too contrasty, like waterfalls. By embracing all lighting conditions, we'll not only unlock new creative opportunities, but we'll also liberate our schedules. No more rushing out just to photograph those short morning or evening windows. There's a universe of creative possibilities waiting for us outside of golden hour. So don't be afraid to experiment with different times of the day. Here are a few tips. Look for interesting shadows, textures, and patterns. Embrace the deep shadows and bright highlights. The soft light is ideal for capturing smaller scenes, forests, and waterfalls. Cloudy days are perfect for capturing moody, atmospheric scenes. Look for subjects that evoke a sense of mystery, tranquility, or even melancholy. Clouds can create dynamic and ever-changing mountain conditions, offering unique photographic opportunities even in the middle of the day. Harsh light can be perfect for black and white. It emphasizes the shapes and textures. One of my favorite techniques for shooting in harsh light is to focus on abstracts. You can look for patterns, textures, and shapes that create interesting visual elements. Use neutral density filters to slow down the shutter speed, experiment with panning, wobbling, jittering, and other movements to create unique results. Blend 2 or more images to take simple textures, contrasts, or even color washes and turn otherwise mundane subjects into something new. Now, of course, shooting during golden hour still has a lot of merit. The warm, directional light reduces harsh shadows, and those sweet colors, oh, it's all about those sweet colors, right? Or is it? Now, this myth might seem redundant after the last one, but it's a trap I fell into for a long time, even when I was shooting at the right time of day. The idea goes that we need to use those vibrant colors to create a truly captivating landscape photo. And let's be real, who doesn't love a good sunset? Those fiery oranges, pinks, and purples add a magical touch to any landscape. And I'll be the first to admit, I've spent countless hours chasing those epic skies. I've seen too many photos with lackluster compositions or uninteresting subjects that are propped up by a dramatic sky. A roadside light pall against a vibrant sunset might be eye-catching at first, but does it create a truly meaningful and expressive photograph? A great landscape photo is about more than just color. It's about composition, light, storytelling, and capturing the essence of a place. And those elements can be just as powerful, if not more so, in images with subtle or even muted colors. I've been in breathtaking locations where the light was just okay, and I look over and see other photographers packing up their gear in disappointment. But that's when I challenge myself to find something unique, to focus on the details, the textures, and the story within the scene. And here's another thing. Color can be enhanced in post-processing, but a bad composition can't really be fixed. So how do we break free from the color obsession? Here's a few tips. Learn to see the world as a photographer, not just a spectator. Look for leading lines, patterns, interesting perspectives that create a strong visual foundation for the image. Don't underestimate the power of muted colors and subtle light. They can create a mood and atmosphere that's just as captivating as a fiery sunset. Go beyond simply capturing a pretty scene and ask yourself, what story do I want to tell with this image? Use your composition and lighting to support that narrative. We've established that amazing color isn't necessary for great photos, but what about post-processing? Should we add it there? Or is that cheating? The great post-processing debate. This one is a bit of a minefield, isn't it? I don't think we're going to settle it today by any means. Some photographers see creative editing as essential, while others see it as a cardinal sin. So where do you draw the line? I get it. There's a valid concern that post-processing can be taken too far. We've all seen those overly saturated, ghoulish HDR heavy images that look more like bad paintings than photographs. And yes, there's something to be said for documenting a scene as faithfully as possible. But post-processing isn't just about fixing mistakes. For me, post-processing is as much a part of photography as capturing the initial image in the field. It allows me to bring the feelings I had in the field to life, emphasize mood and atmosphere, and create a final product that truly reflects our artistic intent. Some of my photos are only lightly edited, while others rely heavily on post-processing to convey a particular feeling or atmosphere. The truth is, there's no single right way to approach post-processing. It's all about what photography means to you. Are you trying to document a scene objectively? Are you aiming to express your personal interpretation? Are you trying to evoke specific emotions or capture abstract qualities? The beauty of photography is that there's room for all approaches. Some photographers prefer a more purist, straight out of camera style, and that's perfectly valid. Others, like myself, see post-processing as an integral part of the creative process. Others still, like Enrico Fossati, take things even further and embrace AI as a photo editor companion to make fantastical art that's really otherworldly. And let's not forget, even those straight out of camera purists are still altering reality. The camera settings, the focal length, and even the software that processes the RAW file or JPEG, all of these influence the final image. So in a way, we're all processing our photos whether we realize it or not. The key, from my perspective, is to be intentional and transparent about our editing choices. If we're making significant changes to a scene, it seems fair to be upfront about it. But I don't let the fear of editing is cheating or any pressure to conform to a certain style stifle my creativity. For example, when creating moody, atmospheric landscapes, post-processing helps bring out that essence in ways the camera really can't capture. Through careful editing, I was able to enhance the contrast, consolidate the color palette, blur unnecessary details, and enhance the misty atmosphere. The final image was much closer to how I experienced the scene in person. Don't be afraid to use post-processing as a creative tool. Think about what mood or story you want to convey, and edit to emphasize that. Every edit should have a purpose. Ask yourself, does this change support my vision? There's no one right way to edit. Find your own unique style and express your creativity. Whatever your thoughts are on post-processing, there's another common belief that we need to stick to one genre or style to get noticed. Now, this myth is something I've wrestled with for a long time. The idea that we need to specialize in one genre or one style of editing to find our niche and to stick to it rigidly. But is that the key to success and fulfillment as an artist? Many photographers feel pressure to lock in a unique style, especially in our social media-driven world where standing out feels essential. There's some truth to the idea of specialization, of course. Focusing on a particular genre can help us develop genre-specific skills over someone generalizing. It can provide clarity and direction, especially when starting out. A focused portfolio in one genre or style can help create a cohesive body of work, making the work more recognizable and marketable. Here's my take on it, though. True creativity doesn't thrive within the confines of rigid rules. While some constraints can be helpful, blindly adhering to one genre or editing style can stifle our growth and prevent us from exploring new possibilities. There's always going to be artists who have a distinct style and that works for them forever. And there's probably many more people, myself included, who like to play and explore with different styles. For a while, I kept my portfolio strictly focused on grand landscapes. I was worried that branching out would dilute my portfolio and confuse the social media algorithms. But the truth is, I was doing a disservice to both myself and my audience. I've always been drawn to different subjects and different styles. Once I embraced my diverse interests and started sharing a wider range of work, I felt a renewed sense of creative freedom. I was learning new techniques, pushing my boundaries, and discovering new ways to express myself through photography. By exploring different genres and allowing my style to evolve, I became a better photographer. Honestly, I'd rather create work that I'm passionate about, even if it doesn't please everyone. Photography is a journey of self-discovery. It's about finding our voice, expressing our creativity, and connecting with the world through our images. It's easy to feel like you have to settle into a specific genre or a signature style, especially with the pressure of social media. But embracing the freedom to explore and experiment has been key to my growth. Here are a few tips I've used to expand my creative horizons. What does success mean to you as a photographer? Is it about creating work that you're proud of, connecting with your audience on a deeper level, or simply the process of creating? Try new lenses, techniques, and subjects. Step outside of your comfort zone and see what sparks your creativity. Share a diverse range of work. Let your audience see the full spectrum of your artistic vision. Don't let the pursuit of likes and followers dictate your creative choices. Follow your instincts and let your unique voice evolve naturally. Landscape photography is about more than just following rules. It's about connecting with nature, expressing ourselves, and having fun. We've covered a lot of ground today, and I hope these insights have sparked new ideas for your photography. But we're just getting started. In the next video, we'll tackle even more insidious myths, this time focusing on gear, settings, and the social aspects. If you don't want to miss it, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell. In the meantime, I'd love to hear which myth resonated with you most. Share your experiences in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.